getting a lot of coverage in this sport.
Yeah, I mean, the glamour side of it, obviously, for Anastasia is great for our sport. It's very hard for her when she plays in our tour events to do really well because the standard is so high. So she's got to up her standard a little bit before she really starts making a headroad into the tour events and the TV events.
We'll see her later on. Russia against Scotland this evening. Gary Anderson, Robert Thornton, both in action. What about these two? Sweden, Magnus Karras and Per Rianen. We've seen them on the circuit a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Magnus for 25 years. He's been a really good player, represented Sweden, probably 100 times over them years.
16.
He really is a quality player. He's come back into the game after a few years off.
This is Per Rianen.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. Magnus beat him in the World Professional qualifiers, and they're going to be a strong team. If they can get over this and Magnus, it doesn't affect him coming in late, then they could be a bit of a force against one of the big boys.
Yeah, one of the big boys being USA if they get through this.
Yeah, well, they'll be happy with that if they get through this. I mean, it is going to be a tough night for anybody because all the pros, all the seeds are coming in cold, and these have already played a game.
I'll tell you what's working well. This loser throws first. It keeps it tight, keeps it exciting.
That's exactly what it does, Dave. You lose a leg, you're going to throw first. You've got them extra, perhaps ton-plus darts in your hand, and it does make for real tight games. And of course, you get the 5-all and you've got the throw. That's exactly what you want.
OK, let's hand over to commentary. Dave Lanning and Sid Woodell.
Well, this should be another belter. This is Pig Jack.
45.
Big, stocky lad. And here we have Rihonen. It was fairly equable. I'd beaten in the qualifier with the PDC World Championship by Magnus.
100.
And here he goes, Kijimet. Osman Kijimet from Kamk. Played in the World Championship 2010, Dave. First Slovenian ever. Beat Hazel of New Zealand, that we just seen in the winning
55.
team. And lost to Andy Hamilton.
68.
Legend here. Remember it yesterday.
Well, Magnus Karras looking at a finish already. As we have heard, he's been around the big time scene for some time now. Double top for an impressive opening leg.
Yep. Game shot and the first
Class
leg
act
to
to
Sweden.
Remember him?
Second leg, Slovenia to throw first.
Leg side years back. That was at your jollies.
Well, good finish there. Positively charismatic, you should say.
Possibly you could, yeah. And here's Kijimet. Should use that lie a bit better. Karras saying, had a classic match with Bobby George. Jollies. Oh, rocking. Semi-final. 94. And somebody said we couldn't have more excitement if Elvis walked in and asked for a chip sandwich.
76.
And we did. Kijimet here. This is Pejak Krada. Lost to Kijimet in 6-3 in November 2009 tournament. Qualified for the next Ali Pali. 2010 that were.
Per Rianen. Again. Bit of a jerky style. Comes from Solna. Just outside the Stockholm area.
43.
And the darts here showing, Sid, this is a nice moment of nostalgia. There are 25-gram Jim Pike. Remember Jim Pike way back in the early days of darts in the news of the world. One of the legends.
Absolutely. Legends to come.
100.
These lads playing. Take on the USA later. Bill Davis there. We remember beat John Part in 09. When Part was world champion at the Ali Pali. They're all here, folks. This is
60.
who's who of world darts over the next 3 days. Pick Jack.
Yes, comes from Ljubljana, where they have a bit of winter sports, I seem to recollect. 18-gram harrows, much more conventional.
55.
Two big fellas, these from Slovenia, but throwing pretty lightweight darts, 19 and 18 gram. By comparison, the Swedes have got bombers. Rianen's 24 gram, the Jim Pike darts, we remember you. Remind you of those. And then
Slovenia
26 gram from
146.
Magnus Karras. And that's the same weight as Phil Taylor.
Osman, Kijimet. Double 16 for a bellow! Oh, Johnny's class! Like he did in the Ali Pali in 2010.
Game on.
Great dots.
Yeah, that was a really impressive finish. 1-4-6 levels the scores. That would have rocked the Swedes.
Semi-finalist in the World Masters way back. 7 times to the Lakeside finals. 88 to 95. Magnus Karras. Kejamet, more successful of the two lads from Slovenia.
40.
There's a William Tell shot, who came from a bit further west, like the Burning District Super League. Snatchy slide dance by Rionen.
41.
Yes, it's interesting that we have these players coming from the old Baltic states. A great rivalry down there. I remember doing outside broadcasts there, and there's about 6 different language commentators from the same
60.
country all fighting over interview space. So if these guys can really get weaving, we could have a hotbed of darts down there in that corner of Europe.
Well, our old Don staff up here, me and Dave Lannon were in a taxi last night where their driver claimed to have beaten Keith Della within weeks of his World Championship success. Little Mickey with his taxi and his tattoos, like. Dave Lannon did not understand a word of it. Blocker dart on the middle of the bed, where you see that's what the blocker does, makes you lob the dart, loop it.
43.
Rhiannon then, all square. The winners of this one meet who? The USA. These are useful, very useful.
140.
That's right, Davis is one of them players, and Darren Young, 6'5", former stonemason. There's character in the field. And I would like to meet Peg Jack down at Dark Knight.
83.
Up Eastern Europe, owning money.
80.
Right then, to level it up. Oceans of time on his side. Awful shot. Magnus came here via Paris in 24 hours. Left his dart. Champs-Élysées. On the wire.
56.
And he'll be back, as we can see there. The Slovenians unable to check out on 275. So
60.
so we'll have a look at
24.
Rhiannon now looking at double 12 to take the Swedes back into the lead. The marker should be useful and should be used. Double 6.
Across the board. Green bit.
Game shot and the third leg.
Well, he'd have been really good at pointing if he'd have missed that one.
Slovenia to throw first.
See how chuffed he is to her. Giving the old Swedish 5-fingered slang. Yeah, lovely. Look, now that's a clever dart to use it with that lie with the top flight.
85.
Try to follow it up. We saw how difficult it was to the left of the bed with the yellow flight dangling awkwardly.
Magnus Karas here from the Stockholm area. And he goes right the way back to the days when the Swedes were a considerable force in world darts. He was a compatriot of Stefan Lord, we remember, Sid, who won the News of the World a couple of times and was capable of living with the very best in the business at that time.
Until he bumped into John Thomas Wilson once, and Dirty got a bit upset with him, as we all remember.
85.
Yeah, that's some great players. Rory Honan, nickname the Thunderer. Certainly Thunder 6. That's the Thunder, the red bit now. Snatchy darts. This is snatchy.
30.
Taking their time. The Swedes, much more experienced on the international stage. And the Slovenians here, they're both experienced. They've both played
55.
regularly in PDC events, so they're not exactly newcomers to this kind of atmosphere.
Lovely line, but it's going to be controlled through the flight. That's the tricky bit.
100.
Slightly popped the last dart. Finger flicking. Not so good.
Sebastian Pijak here, looking authoritative.
100.
Slack last dart there. I think he was in twixt and between two minds here, there. Using the lie. So remember how you got the really, really heavy boys coming into
42.
the action later. England represented by James Wade and Phil Taylor. Barney and Cool Stumpy, who's been on fire recently. And that amazing Aussie Geordie combination.
55.
Whitlock and Nicholson.
Yes, they're dangerous. They're dangerous, the Australians. We'll watch for them. All the money, of course, all the pre-tournament favouritism. Number 1 and 2 in the world, Phil Taylor, James Wade, quite naturally. But the Australians
Slovenia
are dangerous.
require 121.
He has a Peg Jack then. Wonder if he ever had chop pork like my mum made me do in the wartime days. Peg Jack. Oh, this will be a belter. You can't watch. Kijimet. Red bit. Full.
3.
Just at 146, remember, in the second leg, and now Rhiannon on the 170, top finish in the house. Can't manage it. The Slovenians will be back to square the match.
100.
Beautiful use of the lie that.
Slovenia,
All got to get us
Uruguay
through the
18.
flight without too much interflick. Double 9 for parity. Didn't say that in the last game. Green bit. Oh,
9-4.
again, flight
Sweden
problems
Uruguay
there.
17.
Obvious line to the double. Was blocked by the flight. Dip.
And Magnus Karras again. 20 for double top now. Oh, just squeezed in. Can he squeeze this one in? Extend the lead.
Game
Can
shot
indeed.
and the
Cool
fourth leg
finishing
to Sweden.
from a very cool Swede. That
Fifth
was
leg, Slovenia
sweet
to
and
throw
lovely.
first. Game on.
Pinch the leg there. Here we go then. Swedes up 3-1. Kijimet off balance badly here.
45.
Top in. Magnus from the Charles Bronson School of Emotion does it all from A to B. This is how to lob them if you're going to do the lob style. Oh! The Geordie speakers the truth.
Now the class and experience of Swedes just beginning to show itself.
85.
Here in far-flung north, we're darting in Spartan conditions outside. The snow is not disappearing very swiftly, and we have a cathedral-like calm here.
140.
But it's a really high-octane performance in this leg from the Swedes. They really have piled it on. Just 6 starts down to 181.
We are in fact where Lancers were born by 100 years ago by young Lord Lambden, who went looking for deer and venison and met a 20-foot worm with big goggly eyes that wrapped itself round Penshaw Hill, which is a mile from here. Drenched in history,
100.
this part of the historic County Durham. Fit setting for the creme de la world, Tungsten. Oh, snatchy dart. Should have used the line much better there.
45.
Just wonder if we've got any friends in Slovenia watching this, wondering what 20-foot worms have got to do with darts. Double 12, fine leg. That's terrific.
Game shot and the fifth leg to Sweden. Sixth
Bit of
leg,
a rampage
Slovenia
here
to
by the
first.
Swedes.
Game on.
It's not no got you strange right at all. He's got a strange upright stance, which is more arm, and he's actually
45.
pushing the darts now. There's a little bit too much wrist work and it's too much of the tricep. See, this is much more fluid entry. Beautiful. It's still a perler of a lie, this. Averages
81.
pretty good now, 90 to the...
Yes, they have got very, very
Swedes.
high averages. They hear the Swedes 88, 89 in this kind of format is very, very steady. There they are. And you can see the
102.
Slovenians not quite so impressive. 11 dart finish. Seem to recollect in the last leg, which is just about as good as we've seen so far.
Checkout is pretty good as well. 57% checkout is ace.
125.
Top bracket by the Swedes. Very confident in each other. Even though I think it was 7-1 when Magnus beat his mate here. The World Championship qualifiers. Now that's a better dart with more momentum.
100.
Magnus Karras. Very cool character. Looks the kind of guy that would appreciate modern jazz, doesn't he, Sid? Joe Cool.
60.
Modern jazz, what's that, Dave? Is that saxophones and all that stuff? I'm a trad man myself.
I know. Life stopped when banjos went out of band. for Sid
Here we
McDowell.
go then. Banjo in that 60 you're open to.
85.
Lovely that start, that have you weighted just right. Clever use of the lie, that, Dave.
Oh dear, that was a slip there from Rhiannon.
It is an extremely fast arm. He really does bring that
125.
wrist to very quick.
Didn't even pick that up well, though. So it was a poor first start, but then very respectably picked up 2 treble 20s, and they're in front here. And
45.
the mood that Karras is in, he will
110.
hold no fears over 110 for 5-1, 1 leg away from victory.
Yeah, coming to the Yogi.
$74.
Super
Slovenia
recovery again with that
124.
treble 18 to leave double 18. And Vic Jack here has got to hit this 124. Remember, he hit 146 earlier in the second leg.
Quite near the treble there, yeah. He was beaten by
56.
his mate,
Sweden, you require 36.
Kidjamat, for the World Champs 2010, the qualifier double 18 then. Oh, poles, across the board for the green bit. Oh, becoming a bit of a slide down the old fjord on a bin lid here.
Game on.
Yes, and the Swedes now are checking out at 56% success rate, and that's pretty good by any standards. And the Slovenians,
100.
gallant though they are, still on a learning curve, getting a little bit of a darting lesson here.
Occasionally slovenly darts by the Slovenians. Maybe it's a natural habit, Dave. He's still trying that awkward line. He's going to be very clever, this. Very nifty.
140.
Very nifty indeed.
All these newcomer nations, of course, are seeing, and it is exciting. And our colleague
140.
Dave Clark was saying there's so many new faces and people emerging, and it's so exciting. The great joy of this event, we might be seeing these players in the years ahead. We said, do you remember we first saw that guy in the World
59.
Cup out there in County Durham, and look at him now, how he's come on. Might be this man. Remember the face, remember the name.
It's finding the 60 nicely, but the grouping, there's a lot to be
100.
desired. See, the Swedes, great daunting nation. Remember the great Stefan Lord getting his hair permed, wouldn't go out for 2 nights. Practiced in his room. Great days, some great rivalries with Jockey Wilson and a few others I can name.
100. Slovenia
Magnus as
require
well.
161.
Right, no sign yet that he's got the sustained rhythm to take this, Dave.
Oh, we had that one big finish, didn't we, in the second leg,
60.
146, but they haven't been able to quite to match that standard thereafter. But the Swedes here need a ton 40 to be in a position to wrap the match, and the treble is important.
41.
And he hasn't managed it.
Slovenia, you require 101.
2. To save the match, putting some 3 darter. Desperately needs to get trebling. This will be a belter. On the wire!
69. Sweden, you require
Should get another
161.
shot here. 161's a tall order, but during his long career, Magnus Karras would have done it. Not now. So the Slovenians stepping up to take another leg and keep the match alive.
86.
Oh, unlucky not to
Slovenia, you require 32.
be further down that last treble effort. Needs double 16 to save the match. Now that's awful because the flight's in the way of the obvious line.
Game shot.
Oh, well driven.
To Slovenia.
For once, that pumping driving style helped him there with the drive through the flight.
This is an interesting format. The losers have the first starts, but you see in a situation like this, Sid, we see the other side of the coin with the team comfortably in front. Just losing a leg like that in a curious way gives them an advantage, particularly when Magnus steps up and hits 180.
As I said when he played Bobby George, and the leg side that played Money, 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 that well-known Swedish anthem. And he
60.
is on the money now when he should be. The extreme experience. Karras setting up a steady turning demand. This is tricky, understacker, very tricky. Oh, brilliant. Drive shot hard through the middle.
Whoa!
Hey! On a 9-darter now.
Not in a doubles match we haven't, Sid. This could be a moment of history.
60.
Sweden number. Deborah Pears commentating on a 9-darter. Needs 60. Just dipped it. Unlucky.
well away. Although the 9 darter fades tantalisingly out of reach, it's still a Swede bashing performance.
But they have a 91, plays 70. Good average then for the match.
100. Sweden
117.
117.
$61 and out. Beautiful dart. Just needs to set it up. That's one.
85.
Yes, made sure it was safe there, Rhiannon. Leaving his partner double 16 for the match. Gallant effort though it has been from the Slovenians. They're just finding the gap in class and experience
16.
too much to handle. So Magnus Carus said to wrap the match on double 16.
Elder statesman Magnus Carus for the match. 6-2. The Yanks will be their next opponent, Greenbit. Well, nerves in a very a tragic visit, but they'll be back.
Isn't it amazing, Sid? We were contemplating a 9-dart finish here, just a couple of throws back, and now they've had 15 darts. Still should win the leg. The Slovenians are far too far back. And they can't finish. They can just
32.
finish now, but surely now Rhiannon will wrap it on double 16.
It's got to go north to avoid the flight. North again for the red bits for the game.
16 score. Slovenia, you require 161.
Well, wouldn't it be grand larceny if they could steal this leg? We're talking about a 9-darter, and they've had, 6 darts, it doubles to wrap it. 161. Pijak having a good look at it. This would really be a house warmer.
He got the 60 to start the combination shot. Right then, Shirley.
55.
For
Sweden, you require 16.
the match. We're back to the red bit. The side lipstick. Double it for the game. Middle of the bench
Shot.
by the massively experienced legend of the game, Magnus